What is up, everybody? We're on day 147 of our Bible in a Year series. We are continuing on in Job 11 through 14 today. So, we've got 4 chapters to work through. This will be kind of the last of the initial conversations, right? If you remember, Job had these 3 friends that showed up, and they sat with Job for 7 days without saying a word. Then the first friend spoke, and Job responded. The second friend spoke, Job responded. Now, this one is the third and final friend speaking to Job, and then Job's response to that friend. So, like I said, we do have 4 chapters, so let's go ahead and jump into the reading. Chapter 11. Then Zophar the Naamathite replied, "Should this abundance of words go unanswered, and such a talker be acquitted? Should your babbling put others to silence, so that you can keep on ridiculing, with no one to humiliate you? You have said, 'My teaching is sound, and I am pure in your sight.' But if only God would speak and open his lips against you, he would show you the secrets of wisdom, for true wisdom has 2 sides. Know then that God has chosen to overlook some of your iniquity." I think one of the big points here is that even if Job's getting punished, he's not getting punished as much as he actually deserves, which I think most people would probably agree with. Um, I think in general, most people would agree, at least people that believe and have a real understanding of what sin is and how holy God is and all that, they would agree that the punishment that they do get, regardless of how severe, really does not equal what we deserve for our sin. Um, and I think that's kind of the point that he is getting at here. Now, not everything that he says is correct. We talked about that with the last friend who spoke. Paul actually references something that was said previously, but I don't remember which friend it was. But Paul references one of Job's friends. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that he says is right. It means that the point that Paul is referencing is a good point. Um, you can reference somebody who is wrong 99% of the time. If you're referencing the 1% that they are correct, then it's correct. It doesn't necessarily give validity to everything else they say. Okay, verse 7. Can you fathom the depths of God or discover the limits of the Almighty? They are higher than the heavens. What can you do? They are deeper than Sheol. What can you know? Their measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he passes by and throws some in prison, or convenes in court, who can stop him? Surely he knows which people are worthless. If he sees iniquity, will he not take note of it? But a stupid person will gain understanding as soon as a wild donkey is born a human. As for you, if you redirect your heart and spread out your hands to him in prayer, if there is iniquity in your hand, remove it, and don't allow injustice to dwell in your tents. Then you will hold your head high, free from fault. You will be firmly established and unafraid. For you will forget your suffering, recalling it only as water that has flowed by. Your life will be brighter than noonday. Its darkness will be like the morning. You will be confident because there is hope. You will look carefully about and lie down in safety. You will lie down with no one to frighten you, and many will seek your favor, but the sight of the wicked will. Okay, sorry, everything just froze up on me. Verse 19. You will lie down with no one to frighten you, and many will seek your favor, but the sight of the wicked will fail. Their way of escape will be cut off, and their only hope is their last breath. Chapter 12. Then Job answered, "No doubt you are the people, and wisdom will die with you. but I also have a mind like you. I am not inferior to you. Who doesn't know the things you were talking about? I am a laughing stock to my friends. By calling on God who answers me, the righteous and blameless man is a laughing stock. The one who is at ease holds calamity in contempt and thinks it is prepared for those whose feet are slipping. The tents of robbers are safe, and those who trouble God are secure. God holds them in his hands. But ask the animals, and they will instruct you. Ask the birds of the sky, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will instruct you. Let the fish of the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? The life of every living thing is in his hand, as well as the breath of all humanity. Doesn't the ear test words as the palate tastes food? Wisdom is found with the elderly, and understanding comes with long life. Wisdom and strength belong to God. Counsel and understanding are his. Whatever he tears down cannot be rebuilt. Whoever he imprisons cannot be released. When he withholds water, everything dries up, and when he releases it, it destroys the land. True wisdom and power belong to him. The deceived and the deceiver are his. He leads counselors away barefoot and makes judges go mad. He releases the bonds put on by kings and fastens a belt around their waist. He leads priests away barefoot and overthrows established leaders. He deprives trusted advisers of speech and takes away the elders' good judgment. He pours out contempt on nobles and disarms the strong. He reveals mysteries from the darkness, and he brings the deepest darkness into the light. He makes nations great, then destroys them. He enlarges nations, then leads them away. He deprives the world's leaders of reason and makes them wander in a trackless wasteland. They grope around in darkness without light. He makes them stagger like a drunkard. Okay, chapter 13. Look, my eyes have seen all this, my ears have heard and understood it. Everything you know, I also know. I am not inferior to you, yet I prefer to speak to the Almighty and argue my case before God. You use lies like plaster. You are all worthless healers. If only you would shut up and let that be your wisdom. Hear now my argument and listen to my defense. Would you testify unjustly on God's behalf or speak deceitfully for him? Would you show partiality to him or argue the case in his defense? Would you go well if he examined you? Could you deceive him as you would deceive a man? Surely he would rebuke you if you secretly showed partiality. Would God's majesty not terrify you? Would his dread not fall on you? Your memorable sayings are proverbs of ash. Your defenses are made of clay. Be quiet, and I will speak. Let whatever comes happen to me. I will put myself at risk. I will take my life in my own hands. Even if he kills me, I will hope in him. I will still defend my ways before him. Yes, this will result in my deliverance, for no godless person can appear before him. Pay close attention to my words. Let my declaration ring in your ears. Now then, I have prepared my case. I know that I am right. Can anyone indict me? If so, I will be silent and die. Only grant these two things to me, God, so that I will not have to hide from your presence. Remove your hand from me, and do not let your terror frighten me. Then call, and I will answer, or I will speak, and you can respond to me. How many iniquities and sins have I committed? Reveal to me my transgression and sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? Will you frighten a wind-driven leaf? Will you chase after dry straw? For you record bitter accusations against me and make me inherit the iniquities of my youth. You put my feet in the stocks and stand watch over all my paths, setting a limit for the soles of my feet. A person wears out like something rotten, like a moth-eaten garment. Chapter 14. Anyone born of woman and short of days and full of trouble, he blossoms like a flower, then withers. He flees like a shadow and does not last. Do you really take notice of one like this? Will you bring me into judgment against you? Who can produce something pure from what is impure? No one. Since a person's days are determined and the number of his months depend on you, And since you have set limits he cannot pass, look away from him and let him rest, so that he can enjoy his day like a hired worker. There is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its shoots will not die. If its roots grow old in the ground and its stump starts to die in the soil, the scent of water makes it thrive and produce twigs like a sapling. But a person dies and fades away. He breathes his last. Where is he? As water disappears from a lake and a river becomes patched and dry, so people lie down, never to rise again. They will not wake up until the heavens are no more. They will not stir from their sleep. If only you would hide me in Sheol and conceal me under until your anger passes. If only you would appoint a time for me and then remember me. When a person dies, will he come back to life? If so, I would wait all the days of my struggle until my relief comes. You would call, and I would answer you. You would long for the work of your hands, for then you would count my steps, but would not take note of my sin. My rebellion would be sealed up in a bag, and you would cover over my iniquity. But as a mountain collapses and crumbles, and a rock dislodges from its place, as water wears away stones, and torrents wash away the soil from the land, so you destroy a man's hope. You completely overpower him, and he passes on. You change his appearance and send him away. If his sons receive honor, he does not know it. If they become insignificant, he is unaware of it. He feels only pain of his own body, and mourns only for himself. That is it for our readings for today. Yeah, let's dive into our questions, because I did not forget to get them this time. Okay, question 1. Zophar's accusation in chapter 11 assumes Job's guilt without evidence. How does his rigid perspective challenge us to consider the dangers of oversimplifying suffering and the need for compassion in our judgments? Again, I've hit on this I think every day so far, and I do think this is, I mean, it's a common theme in Job, at least that we see Job's friends bringing up. But the idea that suffering is always directly linked to sin is not a biblical idea. Just point blank, it's not. There is nothing in Scripture that indicates that suffering is always linked to sin. It's just there's literally nothing. Sometimes, yes, sometimes it can be, and sometimes we suffer because we live in a fallen world, in a fallen state, and that's just part of it. I don't, there's not really much else to say to that. But tying all suffering to sin causes issues for people, can harm people, and actually be counterproductive, push people away from the gospel. Especially if it's something has happened to somebody that they did not do anything to cause. It is just something that happened to them. Without getting into a ton of detail, just to keep video from getting flagged. If someone has an issue, if they've gotten hurt by somebody else, if they've been harmed by somebody, if they were particularly innocent or vulnerable at the time, I think you can probably get where I'm going with this. How is that the result of sin when they're not even at an age that they can really be accountable? Yeah, I don't see how you can do that or push that idea. It's entirely unbiblical. Question 2. Job's plea in chapter 13 to speak directly to God reflects both faith amid despair, bold faith amid despair. How might this raw honesty prompt us to reflect on the value of bringing our deepest struggles before God, even when answers seem distant? I think, and I hit at this the first day, or I don't think it was the first day. Maybe the second day when we were having like the first conversations back and forth. The idea that you have to choose between voicing what has happened to you and having faith in God is a false dichotomy. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can have faith in God and also still voice concerns, voice disapproval, um, voice struggle, like all this stuff. You can still have those feelings. You can be vocal about those feelings and still have faith in God. It depends on how you do it. It depends on, I think, your heart when you're doing it. If you're doing it in a, I'm wagging my finger at God, like telling him, hey, you're wrong for this, that's problematic. But if literally just pouring your heart out, like, I don't know what I'm going to do in this situation. This is tough. This is more than I think I can bear. This is more than I can handle on my own. I don't know where to go from here. Why is this happening? Stuff like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. On the contrary, I think that's good. You're bearing your heart to God, and I think that's a good thing. That shows faith. I think that shows trust if you're doing it in the right manner, and that is a bold faith. Not always easy to do, but I think it's always you always have positive if you're able to do that. Question 3. In chapter 14, Job's fleeting hope for renewal contrasts with his anguish. How does this tension invite us to wrestle with the human longing for restoration and the promise of new life fulfilled in Christ's resurrection? Um, we see Job in verse 14 specifically, this desire for renewal, for being brought back, to be in right standing again, right? And so I do think that ties into us. I think all creation groans to be, whether they realize it or not, all man has a desire to be reconciled with God. I think that's what draws people. Now you can suppress that, especially over a lifetime, if you continue to sin and push away God and deny the evidence that is all around you, just looking at nature, that God is there, that He is real. I think things like that can push this down, push it away, and make it make it so that desire is not front and center anymore. But I think if you start pursuing God, that will come back. Even slightly pursuing God, that will come back. And that is it for today. Appreciate everyone watching and listening up to this point. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I enjoy reading comments, interacting as much as I can. Share this with other people. If it's been a blessing to you, you can pass it on. Word of mouth is the best way that podcasts spread. So this will maybe benefit them too. Give them someone that they can read along with and stick with a daily Bible reading plan. That's the whole purpose of doing this series. And tomorrow we'll be back in Job 15. 15 through 17 tomorrow. So more speeches, more responses, more interesting points that are brought up. So you don't want to miss it. Thanks. God bless.